And a big thing is going to be steady progress. And what I mean by that is, small to medium advancements just over and over and over creates a huge avalanche of momentum. And what I mean is you sell a car just back to back to back consistently, making 500 to 1,000 to 1,500 just over and over. And next thing you know, you've saved up a good chunk of money and you can start to expand your inventory and buy more cars and have more opportunities versus a guy that maybe doesn't have a system and he'll make a little bit of money a few times. After 4 or 5 cars, you've got an extra $2, $3, $4,000 in your pocket. Well, now you're going to make the mistake of thinking that you should go buy a $4,000 or $5,000 car and make a bigger profit. And that's not good thinking because you're opening yourself up to a huge setback. Now go back to that BMW that I showed you. I'll pull it back up here in a minute. The one that I lost 2,000 on earlier in this video. Now let's say, for example's sake, that I was a flipper and I just flipped 5 cars last month and made, $800 a piece. Well, now I've got an extra 4,000. So what do? I go buy this BMW. I'm like, oh man, I'm excited. I'm going to sell it for 8,000. And then that happens. So I've just wiped out $3,000 of loss, $2,000 of loss, which was, over half a month's worth of work over one car. And you don't want to do that because you want to have consistent forward momentum. And if you take that big risk and you lose, then you will wipe out a good chunk of that momentum and you'll start to doubt yourself. And some of the mental comes into play as well as not having as much money as you did. And it becomes deflating. So you protect yourself by not opening yourself up to those risks. And if you maintain the 80-20 rule, keep that in mind that 80% of the cars you'll make money on and 20% you'll lose or break even or maybe make $100. And that's okay because for me, historically, that's been about our ratio, and that's what I expect in my mind. I don't expect to make money on 100% of cars because if I did, it would slow me down. To be honest, if I was obsessed with never losing money on a vehicle, I would not buy as many vehicles because I would miss out on opportunities, not have the space, but also be so focused on a few loser cars that I would give up a bunch of winner cars. And here's what I mean. Let's say we've got a loser car right here and it's got major issues. Let's say it's that BMW. It's got the bad turbo. So all of my focus, because if I were so obsessed with not losing money or trying to break even, half of my focus is over here trying to take care of this stupid situation, and half of my focus on the winter cars, I can't really pay attention to those as much because this is taking up all my time and energy and worry and headache, versus if I can just cut it, get it gone, take the loss, take the hit, then I can go over and focus on 4 or 5 winter cars and really devote my energy and time to those. So whereas I might take this $2,000 hit because, let's be honest, you fucked up if you bought it. You need to own your fuck up and move forward. Now, if you bought it cheap enough, let's say if you bought it for $2,000 because it was so cheap, you're fine. Just cut it, get your $2,000, $1,500, move on, and go over here and make your $5,000 on these 5 and focus on that. And just to show you, we come into play, ours is that ratio, 80-20. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And, we consider anything that makes less than 400 a bad deal. So, we've lost money on 12 cars out of 40. That's 30%. And that'll go down, I'm sure. Let's take this month. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lost money on 17 cars out of 47. 36%. So, I mean, you see, ours is high. And for the last few months, we've had trouble getting cars fixed and done. But, we're still made, 36,000 in gross profit and 16,000 in net profit. Still a good month. Just cut the losers and move on to the winners. And February is much of the same, It's a little lower ratio, I can already tell. And, we had a great month. So don't be obsessed with never losing money, because that will cost you money. And where it's going to cost you money is in high opportunity costs. And what's an opportunity cost? That is losing out on something because of something else. So if you have this one car that's just taking up all your time because you refuse to dump it and take your hit, then you will miss out on all the potential gains that you could have bought with that money that you got back. And here's a definition of opportunity cost for those that don't know. It is the loss of potential gain from other alternatives when one alternative is chosen. So they give an example where if you hold cash in your bank account, you lose the opportunity to invest that cash and make money. And this is a big deal with cars, because I see it all the time. You get this BMW. Let's say all you have is $2,000 cash, and you buy this BMW. Well, if you sit there and obsess and hold on to it, then you can't buy these other cars with that $2,000 to make money with. You need to cut your loss, get your cash back, and take it over here and start putting it into winners. And when you go buy a car, you need to know your dump number, which is, if you had to sell it tomorrow, what would you get for it quick? What would be a price that you would have your phone ringing off the hook and people are like, I got to buy it because it's so cheap? And if you know that number, and if you stick pretty close to it, you will minimize your risk, because then you know that, hey, I have this to fall back on, and I can take a little bit of risk to buy this vehicle. And I'll give you an example. In our market, pretty much any vehicle that runs and drives and is reliable transportation is worth $1,500, unless it's like, super dented and ratted out. If it's a decent car, it is worth $1,500. So, knowing that, if I go and buy, let's say, just like an 05 Buick Lucerne, and it's decently nice, it's got 1,700 miles, but I may be concerned that the transmission may be a little messed up, but I don't know, then I know for sure that I'm going to be able to dump it for $1,200 to $1,500. I just know that, so I can pay up to $2,000, knowing that I may lose $500 to $700. But if it's doesn't have any issues, then it's worth $3,500 to $4,000. And the way that math stacks up is the reward is twice the risk. And let me give you another illustration of this case. I need to integrate more illustrations into these slides. So Buick Lucerne. My dump number is $1,500. Now let's just say $1,200 to $1,500. Like if the transmission were totally trashed, or if it barely drove, it'd be $1,200. But $1,500 if it was like just kind of slipping. So if the bad tranny equals $1,200 to $1,500. No, I already put that there. So if I were to, let's say my cost after I bought it was $2,000. Shit. Come on. All right. There we go. So I would be out $500 to $800 loss. versus profit if it's good. I have what would that be? That'd be $1,500 to $2,000 profit. So let's say, $1,500 versus $500 loss. This is maximizing profit and minimizing loss. That's 3 times the profit versus the profit is 3 times the risk. And I like those numbers because, the scales, they are tipped in my favor. So this is profit, that's risk. As long as, we got some upside and I manage the downside, we can hedge our bet. Now, don't go out there, trying to buy, cars that might be bad or probably bad and just think that, oh, I'm fine. No, you just need to have that in your head when you're buying vehicles, because as long as you know what your downside is, you can feel more confident in what you're doing. And also not overpay because you get attached to a vehicle. You don't want to feel like you have to buy a car. Just stick to the numbers and everything takes care of itself. Let's say you go look at a let's say a 2000 Lexus ES300. The person has it posted for $2,500 on Craigslist, and they're saying AC doesn't blow very cold, runs and drives great. It's the summer, gotta get a new vehicle. And in your head that if I can't get the AC fixed for an affordable price, I know that I can sell this for $2,000 in a day or two because it's a Lexus, it's a nice car. And if the AC happens to just need a recharge, with some Freon, I know that I can sell it for $3,000 to $3,300. So when you get there, you want to negotiate her as close to $2,000 or under as possible. Let's just say you do buy it for $2,000. Well, you've protected yourself because you can't lose more than $100 or two, but you have that $1,000 profit upside because let's say you go buy a couple of $5 cans of Freon and the AC blows ice cold. Well, now you have minimized your risk because, fixing the AC may have cost you $400, which may still be worth it because if you spend that and you have $2,400 in it, you sell it for $32, you're still making an $800 profit. But at least you haven't exposed yourself to too much risk.